mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch it so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about episode 1 of the Disney series, The Book of Boba Fett, entitled Stranger in a Strange Land. I watched this episode not really knowing what to expect, and I got something that was a little bit interesting. I got this tale that kind of goes between two times. One time in present day, after Boba has taken over Jabba's empire, I guess, from what was his name, Bib Fortuna. He took over Jabba's palace at the end of The Mandalorian season 2. We saw in a post-credit scene. So it jumps back and forth between that time after he's taken over Jabba's palace and the time that all of us have kind of been wondering about for, 40 years almost. But the time after Boba gets eaten by that Sarlacc in Return of the Jedi. The past scenes pick up right there, and we see how he gets out and everything. And I think I find this jumping back and forth between time pretty interesting. I hope that they kind of do this throughout the entirety of the 7-episode series, because I find filling in backstory to be super interesting, just as much as I find, a new story to be interesting. But I'm interested in seeing, I'm saying interested a lot, seeing Boba's travels kind of, and how everything that we see post Jedi how that will tie in to present day. Like, I feel like at some point, at probably toward the end of this season, whatever experiences he had with the Tusken Raiders in the past are going to have some sort of impact on present day. Like, he's going to learn something from them that he's going to utilize. Someone from that time will come and save him at some point. But I'm interested to see how those things tie together, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he experiences during his time with the Tusken Raiders. But first, I'm going to start with present day. Like I said, present day, we pick up right where that end credit scene ended. It was an end credit scene. It doesn't matter where that end credit scene ended at the end of The Mandalorian, and Boba's in Jabba's palace, and we pick up, I'd say maybe, how many did I write down? I only wrote down 2, but there's a kind of like almost like a 2.5 kind of with this as well. But there's a couple of things that we pick up during this time period that I think are important. One is that the mayor of this Mos Espa, which is where he's at right now, this mayor is going to be a problem. So Boba's getting what they call tributes, which is essentially gifts from the people of Mos Espa, people that might have maybe given gifts to Jabba in the past, people who just want to curry favor with him now that he's the new crime lord. And this mayor, the mayor doesn't actually come, but the mayor sends some sort of underling or whatever to meet with Boba. And not only does the mayor not provide a gift and only provides a welcome on behalf of the mayor, he actually asks Boba for a gift, a tribute for the mayor from him. And Fennec Shand wants to kill this guy, which I think was the right way to go, but they don't, and they essentially send him off saying that his gift is that they're letting him go unmolested, which I thought was a really good line for Fennec to say. But he kind of issues a threat almost as he's leaving. He says something like, expect some more delegates in the future. That definitely sounded like a threat to me. And I feel like whoever this mayor is going to end up being maybe like the primary antagonist in the present day stuff. But we don't know who this is yet. I'm wondering if it's going to be some sort of, maybe not a character that we recognize necessarily, but one that's tied to a character that we recognize. Because when I think about, how did they hook everyone in with the Mandalorian? It was with Grogu at the end of that first episode. You kind of went through that first episode like, okay, this is cool. And they break out the fucking Baby Yoda and everybody's head explodes. So I wonder, they didn't do that in this episode, but I'm wondering if whoever this mayor is going to be someone who's going to be someone that's going to get people involved in the show, is going to get people talking and get people interested. So we'll see. And the second thing is that the Gamorreans, which are those like pig-looking creatures that work for Jabba in the films, they're brought almost as kind of like an offering. Like, hey, feel free to torture these guys, which their squeals will send out a warning to everybody. And Boba says, I don't do torture. And he essentially says that, you guys serve Jabba, you guys serve Bib Fortuna loyally. If I release you, will you serve me loyally? They bend the knee, and then they do serve him loyally. He gets attacked later on by what I can only describe as the Foot Clan from Ninja Turtles. they get attacked by the Foot Clan. They're outnumbered. These guys have like not physical shields, but like kind of like force field kind of shields, and I think they were surrounded. It was something like 6-2, 8-2, something like that. They were outnumbered, but the Gamorreans come and save the day, and Fennec chases after and captures one of them alive. And I think that what we will ultimately see is we will find out that that guy's going to get questioned, and he will ultimately give up that he was hired by the mayor. Or maybe he won't say who it was, and we'll just find out it was the mayor at some point. But I'm assuming the Foot Clan, which is what I'm going to call them, they had a name in there. I looked it up. They're new for this show. It was something like the Night something or other. But I'm going to call them the Foot Clan because that's the fuck they look like, and I want to call them that. So I can only assume that the Foot Clan was sent by the mayor, and I find that to be a pretty compelling storyline. You know, this guy takes over. He's trying to be a better version of Jabba, but still get paid. And for whatever reason, this mayor is going to give him problems. And I'm wondering if the mayor is maybe somebody affiliated with Jabba, or I don't know. But I'm intrigued by that storyline. The 2.5, the half thing that we kind of pick up from present day is that Boba is constantly in these healing pods. And when he's in these healing pods, that's when he has these flashbacks to what happened in, post Jedi. Also, for the future reference, I'm going to cover all 7 episodes of this probably. Like if these videos don't get any views, then I probably won't, because the juice won't be worth the squeeze, but we'll see. But right now I intend on covering all 7 episodes. I'm just going to refer to that timeline as the Jedi timeline, because I feel like that just makes sense. Like, this is everything post last time we saw him in Jedi. So I'm just going to call it the Jedi timeline. But that's obviously referencing Return of the Jedi and not the Jedi as in the people. But, that's when he flashes back to the Jedi timeline. And, it kind of starts off green. And I wonder if these dreams are brought on, because he says at some point the dreams are back again to Fennec. And it makes me wonder if, since they start off with this kind of green tint, if they're triggered by like the stomach bile that was in the Sarlacc, because we see a stormtrooper in there that's kind of like covered in like stomach bile. And it makes me wonder if that triggered it. And then I also wonder too, he gets into this thing. Well, we don't see him get in it, but the episode opens with him in it. And then we see him in it again after the fight with the Foot Clan. And it makes me wonder, does he enter into this after fights? Or is he getting in this thing regularly, and it's a way that he kind of like stays alive? Because like we see him looking very emaciated in the Jedi timeline. And it makes me wonder again if that time in the Sarlacc's stomach drained him of something. Because he looks like you can see like veins and shit in his head. Like he looks like almost dead in the Jedi timeline, but he looks normal in the current timeline. So I'm wondering if this pod is something that he gets in routinely to help keep him alive. And that would be a really interesting turn for this story, to find out that even though he escaped the Sarlacc, there's some sort of something that happened to him that is constantly killing him, that he has to fight off with this healing pad. Think Tony Stark's arc reactor in Iron Man to keep the shards from his heart, something like that. And I don't really know what this healing pod is yet. I kind of assumed at first that it was something that he only got in after fights, but the fact that it showed green, and the fact that he looks way worse in the Jedi timeline than he does present day, just makes me think this might be something that he uses routinely to keep his health up. So I'm pretty interested to see what happens there as well. So like I said, in the past, we see him escape from the Sarlacc's stomach. I'm not even gonna. He uses his blowtorch thing on his wrist. He gets out of there. He climbs up through the dirt, and he passes out. He gets robbed for his gear by some Jawas. No surprise there. And then he's found by Tusken Raiders, and they take him back to their camp. And the rest of that timeline is basically spent seeing him kind of like earn the Tuskens' respect. He has a couple of like failed escape attempts, but ultimately he's there. Him and this one other prisoner and a child Tusken Raider that he saved earlier. Not saved, but he prevented himself from killing this child Tusken Raider earlier. They're all off looking for water. He's digging through the sand. The other prisoners digging through the sand looking for these like rocks that I can only assume are kind of like coconuts, because they open up and they got water in them. And they get attacked by this big sand monster that looks like Goro from Mortal Kombat. and ultimately Boba chokes it in very poetic fashion by choking it with chains across the neck, kind of the same way that Jabba was killed. And they take the head back to the Tusken camp, and it seems like the kid kind of gets credit for that. Like everybody's kind of like patting the kid and stuff like that. But you see like the leader of the Tusken Raiders offer him one of those coconut water things, and that seems to be a showing of respect. And I'm interested to see, or a peace offering even. I'm interested to see if this is going to turn into a thing where we're going to see his time with the Tusken Raiders. And because we know that once he appeared in The Mandalorian, he was in Tusken Raider gear before he actually got his Boba Fett gear back. So we know he spent time there. Maybe he became one of them. He became part of their culture. And I'm really excited to see if that's what we're going to get this season, essentially, is, present day, him dealing with this mayor, trying to figure out how to be Jabba but not be Jabba. Present day with Finnick, and then tying that in with him spending time with the Tusken Raiders and how he gets integrated into that culture, and then how those two things will come together at the end of well, I can't say the series. I don't know. Maybe it's something planned for multiple seasons, but at the very least, at the end of the season. So I find all those things to be pretty compelling. This episode itself was, it didn't really have too much going on. It was kind of slow. It didn't knock my socks off. I think like the first Mandalorian episode did, but it did a good job of setting up things that I find compelling. So I don't know if that's going to be the structure. I kind of hope it is, but we'll see. And like I said, if these videos get a decent amount of play to where I feel like it's worth it to come back and talk about this show every week, then I will. That's my plan right now, but we'll see what happens. See how this one does. And if it does well enough, well, I'll probably do another episode just in case. But, if it does well enough, I'll see you guys next week for episode 2. Peace.